Hi everyone, thank you for joining us at the Inside Google Cloud Meet Leaders in Asia YouTube live event. Today, we will spend about 15 minutes to talk about Google Cloud in the Asia Pacific region and its exciting challenges and opportunities from a leadership perspective. We will spend the last 15 minutes of the session answering some live questions. My name is Jennifer, and I am the Administrative Business Partner in the Google Cloud APAC team. Joining me today is Rick Hashman and Cathy Lee, our two directors for our Google Cloud team in APAC. Now let's get started with an introduction from these two leaders. Rick, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your role in Google Cloud?
Sure, thanks, Jen. As Jen said, my name is Rick Harshman, and I have the privilege of leading the business across Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific, we break down into 4 subregions, so Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, India, and Greater China and South Korea. So North Asia, which makes up Greater China and South Korea. A little bit about myself. I've lived in Asia Pacific for about 16 years, working across technology during that time. I've really had some amazing experiences here, being based in Singapore, as well as across the region, being at the forefront of cloud computing over the last decade. Really having the privilege of setting up some businesses across the region, spending a lot of time in India, across Southeast Asia. So that's really what brought me ultimately to Google.
And Cathy?
Yes, hi. I'm Cathy. I'm the country director for Google Cloud in North Asia. And like Rick was saying, North Asia consists of Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, as well as South Korea. I've joined Google Cloud for nearly 2 years. It's been very exciting. And just to share with you personally, I've lived around the world for many places. Was born in Taiwan, lived in Hong Kong, and then studied in the US, and then worked in China for 5 years. It's exciting time. And it's great to be here and talking with you through live chat.
Great. And Rick, can you tell us about your journey to Google and why you decided to join Google Cloud?
Sure. So as you can probably tell, I'm American, and I was born and raised in America. I went to university in the U.S. and worked for a U.S. tech company, and I was based in San Francisco. And I'd always had a mindset of raising my hand and to try out new challenges. And the opportunity presented itself to move to Sydney, Australia, a long time ago, back in 2003. And I moved at that time and had the opportunity to live in Australia for a year. And then the role ultimately led me to Singapore, where I've been based since the beginning of 2004. And at that time, as I said, I was working for a content delivery company. And then I was approached by a Seattle-based company that is quite large in cloud computing. And I had the opportunity to be the first outside hire for them in Asia Pacific, and had a variety of roles with them over nearly 6 years, well, a little more than 6 years. And then that's when Google came calling. And there were a number of reasons why I was interested in Google. I was starting to hear more and more about Google in the market from a variety of areas. One is around analytics. Google is known for being a data company and being a data-driven company, and we heard a lot about that on the other side of the table. A lot of investment in machine learning, and that was something that I was starting to hear customers talking about. And I was seeing an evolution of cloud, of moving from pure infrastructure as a service, moving more towards driven by data and driven by machine learning. And so Google was quite interesting to me from that perspective. And then also from a personal perspective, being here in Asia, one of the things that I didn't see a lot from multinational companies is interest in developing services for Asian customers. And that's something unique to Google. So Google has created a business called The Next Billion Users, and that was something that was intriguing to me. So building products here in Asia or for emerging markets in these markets, as opposed to building everything in the US and then bringing that to market. So that was something that was quite compelling to me, and having the opportunity to work across wider Google has been very fulfilling on an individual and personal level.
Cool. And Cathy, what's your journey like?
Oh, well, just counting back, right? I've been in the industry for more than 2 decades now. And starting off with selling hardware and then software and then services. And I consider myself very lucky because I started my cloud career 12 years ago. So like 20-ish, half in the traditional IT and half in the cloud industry. And in fact, I've worked in companies that offer infrastructure as service, platform as service, and then software as service, and now Google Cloud. So why I joined Google Cloud, it's because, working with the customers out there, in fact, seeing the customers' demand on cloud, wanting to do something with cloud to help them run their business better, it's an amazing experience for me. And looking at Google Cloud when Google Cloud approached me 2 years ago, back then I was working in China, and it was truly amazing to see the comprehensive portfolios that Google Cloud can offer to the customers out there. It's not just one layer, infrastructure as service. It's not just platform, but then it's like Rick was saying, the analytics, the machine learning, the analytics, AI. That's something that we can truly put into action and realize the business goals that our customers are wanting to do with cloud.
Right. And what do you see as the most exciting part of working in Google Cloud in APAC today?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of them. I would say, outside of the technology we've talked about, Asia is quite unique. It's extremely dynamic from a market perspective. More than half of the world's population sits within a 4 to 5 hour flight of Singapore, which is where I live, and so that's quite interesting. There's diversity of cultures, diversity of people. If I think about my team, it's extremely diverse, different languages, different backgrounds, and it's highly collaborative. And that's something that is really unique. I mean, I'm excited every day that I wake up and get an opportunity to come to work, not just with the people that I have the ability to work with within Google, but also with our customers, as Cathy was saying. I have the opportunity to work with startups as well as the largest enterprises, and across the diverse industries that are here. Now, we focus on specific industries within Google Cloud, from retail to financial services to healthcare to public sector to manufacturing to media and telecoms, but we also focus on specific technical horizontal areas that Cathy was mentioning, so analytics and enterprise workloads. And those are always very diverse and interesting conversations that we're able to have with customers, really help them transform their business into the digital era. And that's extremely exciting because in Asia Pacific, we haven't, we're seeing a leapfrog. We're seeing people move from an offline traditional mindset into a digital mindset, and cloud is being a big driver for that. And we have the opportunity to be at the forefront of that and to help people through that journey, and that's extremely exciting and quite frankly humbling for us to be able to do. And I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Nice. And Cathy, you lead the North Asia team. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you zoom into North Asia, it's 4 markets, 3 different languages. But then if you look at North Asia from a GDP per capita perspective, you will realize that the 4 markets combined, they're all sitting at the top 50 rank in terms of growth potential according to IMF, right? So it's truly like, if you want growth, if you want to see the business in action, and see the power of your services and the company's portfolios, what they can translate into, business outcome. Like what Rick was saying, startups, enterprises, they are all like considering not moving to the cloud, but then how to do with cloud. So it's truly, living in the moment and catch the exciting time.
Right. Maybe I ask Rick this question, and maybe Cathy can follow up with your insights on North Asia. So how do you see Google Cloud's growth in APAC over the next 1 to 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen a tremendous amount of growth in the 3 years that I've been in the business. We've received a tremendous amount of investment. Google Cloud has been, the most heavily invested business across Google over the last number of years. We continue to be so. So we have a number of open roles across Asia Pacific, and I expect that investment to continue. I expect to more than triple or quadruple the size of the team over the next couple of years. And also from an infrastructure perspective, when I started, we had one cloud region in Taiwan. You fast forward to today, we have 5 cloud regions. So Taiwan, 2 in Japan, 1 in India, 1 in Australia, 1 in Singapore, and we also have pre-announced regions to come in Seoul, South Korea later this year, as well as Jakarta, Indonesia in early 2020. So we're continuing to invest in the infrastructure perspective and in the innovating around services as well. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of growth across our customer-facing teams, across our engineering teams, and across our infrastructure development teams.
And for North Asia, it's, again, like what I was saying, the growth is there. And in terms of customer mix, there is a bunch of startups, leveraging cloud as cloud natives. But then there's also a good segment of mid-market as well as enterprises. It's truly the exciting time to see growth. There's no other place better to be.
Totally agree.
Yes.
And APAC is really a diverse region. And what are some of the biggest challenges you face? Like in North Asia, you mentioned there are 4 countries and different languages. So, can you add on and tell us more about that?
Well, the biggest challenge would be, customer demand is out there, right? How to find the right subject matter expertise to help our customers to embark their cloud journey right now. That's the biggest challenge for us.
Yeah, I think if I answer the question, Jen, from a customer perspective, I think there's a couple of things. I think one biggest challenge that I hear from the C-suite, so CEOs, CIOs, CFOs that I talk to every single day, there is great talent in the market and there's great talent within these companies, but making sure that they have the right skills to be able to act on this digital transformation that these companies are going through that Cathy was mentioning, that's a big challenge. I think continuing to grow out the partner ecosystem and being able to have the right partner that will help these customers go through their digital transformation journey. That's another challenge, and there's a reason why Google Cloud is investing so heavily in areas such as training and enablement, such as building out the partner ecosystem, such as building services and solutions that are specific to industry, because we're trying to help these companies address these challenges, because they're not going to be subject matter experts in infrastructure and technology. They're going to be subject matter experts in their core business, and that's where we can help them. We'll bring the expertise of Google Cloud, combine that with their expertise, and we think that that's a formula for success.
Right. And so Google Cloud recently appointed a new CEO, Thomas Kurian, and new go-to-market president, Rob Enslin. So how do you see these new leaders influencing how Google Cloud approaches the market in APAC?
Well, I think with Thomas and Rob coming on board earlier this year, they provided a tremendous amount of clarity and vision for us on where we're focusing our resources, where we're focusing on industries, as I mentioned, as well as on priority solutions and workloads. And so having that focus internally for our engineers on what products and services that we're going to be building, where we're going to be building infrastructure, helps provide clarity to the teams as well as to our customers on where these investments are going to be placed. And so, we have a mandate of not only to continue to grow the business rapidly, which we're seeing, but also to continue to hire rapidly across all of our key markets in Asia Pacific, which is, it's a great honor and privilege to be able to do that, and it's something that Cathy and I, as well as the wider APAC team, are extremely excited about.
Okay, looks like we have a good stream of questions coming in. So thank you, Rick and Cathy, for what you're doing. And let's jump right into the live questions, right? Oh, something we get asked a lot is, what is your biggest piece of advice to be successful in Google Cloud? Maybe Cathy?
Well, I'll take that. Yeah. I think it's very important to have a growth mindset. With the way that the market potential is there with the need to help our customers to embark their cloud journey and turn technology into business outcomes. Having a growth mindset is most critical.
Yeah, I would just add to that. I think it's important to be. I'm amazed and. I guess I shouldn't be amazed. We're surrounded by extremely smart people, but I think what's most important to be successful at a company like Google is being collaborative, being tenacious, being willing to roll up your sleeves, not being afraid to ask questions. It's perfectly fine if you don't know something, because there's going to be people around you that will absolutely know. But having that collaborative mindset, having the willingness to help people and to go the extra mile, especially for your teammates as well as for your customers, I think that really sets us apart if we're doing that successfully.
Cool. So let's move on to the next question. What advice would you give to someone who was interested in learning more about career opportunities at Google Cloud?
Sure, I'll take that. So we have an active website, so careers.google.com. We'll show you all of the different roles that are open, and I know that there are many of them. I look at them every day. Absolutely reach out to the staffing team. I think we have a LinkedIn page. They're polite, I promise. Come to our networking events. There's a ton of them. One of the things that I've found to be quite unique about Google is we have a very active developer community, something that Google prides itself on, and working with the developer communities across all of our markets. It's something that we will host those events. We don't necessarily run them, but we will host those events, and they're open to the developer communities, whether it's around Kubernetes or TensorFlow or Android. So come to these networking events that you will have in the various offices around Asia Pacific. And then specific to cloud, we have a number of what we call cloud summits that are happening over the next 3 months across our markets. So whether that's Singapore, whether that's Seoul in Korea, or Hong Kong, or Sydney, or Melbourne. So you can find those on our website as well, cloud.google.com, and you can register to attend those. And I think our recruiters will be at those events as well. So there's a number of ways. And if you want to, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. They said I could say that.
Cool. Join us. All right. And next question, Rick. You mentioned technology earlier. So what specific tech do you feel differentiates Google Cloud? Like what GCP product excites you?
What technology differentiates Google Cloud? I think that there's a couple of things. One of the things, each cloud provider has their unique attributes, and each cloud provider really does a great job of innovating. Specific to Google Cloud, we are extremely strong in infrastructure as a service, but where we see customers really start to take the biggest amount of interest are in 3 key areas. One, workplace transformation. So we have a very strong collaboration suite of offerings called G Suite. That's something that, when companies are going through their digital transformation journey, they also want to change the way that they are working and collaborating across their organization, and so G Suite enables that. I think that's a big differentiator for us. I think around analytics is another big area. So we have arguably the strongest analytics suite of products, especially BigQuery, which is our fully managed enterprise data warehouse service. And then on machine learning, Google Cloud is extremely well known around machine learning, and so Google created TensorFlow, and we've open sourced that. And the final thing, and is extremely unique to Google Cloud, is we believe in being open in a multi-cloud world, and so we've created a service called Anthos, which enables you to write your software once and run it anywhere. You can run it on Google Cloud, you can run it on other clouds, and you can run it on premise. And that's something that other clouds have not yet embraced, and we think that is a big differentiator at Google Cloud.
And Swati asks, could you share more about your plans for Backstory for Asia?
Hi Swati. Feel free to reach out to me at LinkedIn, on LinkedIn. I'm not actually sure what Backstory is, so I'm not going to be able to answer that. So apologies.
Okay. Right. And maybe for Cathy,
yes.
Jeff Chai has asked follow-up question. Who are our target users in China? Is it primarily foreign Fortune 500 and local organizations?
Well, hi, Jeff. The way I look at this question is, think about cloud. Cloud is through the internet, right? It's a technology provision through the internet. So any Chinese company who are in need of using Google Cloud technology through the internet, they are our customers. But then, of course, in China, there are specific regulatory requirements that they need to have data sitting within the country, within the Great Firewall. So today, our Chinese customers are mainly those who are who have the intent to provide their services through the internet internationally outside of China. So they are our customers. Okay. Hope that clarifies your question.
Right. All right, I would like to move on to the last question. And what are your top 3 priorities as the APAC leader right now?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's hiring, and hiring. Those would be the top 3 priorities. On a serious note, hiring is definitely priority number 1A, and I would say priority 1B is continuing to grow the business at the rapid clip that we're growing it at. Very proud of the team. We just closed out the second quarter a few days ago. We had an extremely strong quarter, so we're continuing to focus on growing the business on the revenue side and on a customer adoption side. While at the same time, really focusing on the future. So that focus on the future includes, continuing to hire for customer-facing roles like sales, customer engineering, continuing to build out the partner ecosystem. As I mentioned, continuing to build out additional infrastructure locations. Focusing on the long-term strategy. These are all things that we're kind of prioritizing, at least in my seat. And then I know that each sub-region leader and their teams have their own priorities. So I'll turn it over to you, Cathy, for North Asia.
Sure. If I may add, I think one more critical priority for us as leaders in this region is to think about career development for our staff, right? Because they are the true talent within Google Cloud, and they are the representatives when they engage the customers out there and helping customers to make use of Google Cloud.
Cool. And so far we've been talking about business. Can you tell us what the fun side about Google Cloud?
What the fun side of Google Cloud? Well, I mean. All of the rumors I can validate about Google are true around the benefits that you get. I mean, we have an amazing gym here in Singapore. We have amazing food. I joke, but I think it's true. I think we have the best coffee in any office that I've been to at Google. We have a really lively and active community that's very diverse. We have a constant culture club across each of our offices, and there's always some fun activity that's going on. And so it's a very vibrant, youthful, fun cloud office, but also there's thousands of Googlers across Asia Pacific, and they're all fun and fairly like-minded. So it's a really great place to work.
Well, personally for me, I like the diversity of the culture. Fantastic place to work. Okay, come on, last question from Sachin. How are you approaching complex market like ASEAN?
Great question, Sachin. So. So for those that may not be aware, ASEAN is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So it's a grouping of 6 to 7 countries. And so the way that we're looking at it is we have offices and people in Singapore and in Indonesia and in Malaysia and Thailand and the Philippines. And we are approaching the market from a direct as well as an indirect perspective. So we have cloud Googlers in these places that are selling to customers and companies in those markets, as well as multinational companies that may be in those markets across those industries that I was talking about, as well as working through partners in those markets. In the partner ecosystem, we work with regional systems integration companies that will be primarily focused locally in those markets, as well as what we call global systems integration companies that have a global footprint. So companies like an Accenture or a Deloitte or PwC or Wipro or Infosys. So we'll work with those companies as well. And so we're approaching the Southeast Asian market, which by the way was one of our fastest growing markets. We're approaching it, in a direct as well as indirect way. And so far it's been working out really well. Thank you for the question.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Rick and Cathy, for being here. And of course, thank you all the viewers for participating. So be sure to subscribe to Live at Google for more videos about working at Google. Right, check out the links in the description box below for helpful resources related to what we talked about today. And we hope to see you soon, really.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. I really appreciate it. You did a great job. What I'd leave you with is, look, we are hiring rapidly, as I've said, I think 20 times across Asia Pacific. Please feel free to visit our career site. Please feel free to reach out to us via LinkedIn. We've got a great team, and we're looking to continue to augment that team with many of you. So please feel free to reach out.
And we hope to see your application soon.
Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.